to educate, motivate, and build one another through shared knowledge and success. This is Young and Successful, and these are your hosts, Che Chukwi, Kenny Awashika, and PJ Lumelin.
Welcome back to Young and Successful. Our goal is to educate, motivate, and build one another through shared knowledge and success. I'm your host, Che, hosting along with...
This is Peter, PJ, PGZ, all the above.
And you have Double O, Kenny in his house. Let's go.
Kenny. Whoop, whoop. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Yup.
The only man with the digital... I was going to say digital currency. I was going to say the only man with digits in his nickname, but I
Double
already
O.
screwed it up. Hey.
Yup. Zero.
Exactly.
Zero.
But hey, man, I'm very excited that we're doing this podcast again. And what I say again, we're going to keep doing it. You know what I mean? We're just getting started. Very excited for it, especially after our first video, man. I feel so much more pumped to keep rolling. You know, it's like the reaction from the first video and just the feedback, really. It's really, it made me feel that we're definitely doing something right here. So today we're talking about something that definitely lives among all of us, right? Something that is definitely realized and not spoken by many, because a lot of people choose to deal with it internally, but we all realize that it exists. Something that will kill more dreams than failure actually ever will. We're talking about fear. Right?
Fear.
The fear to get out there and take on the world, the fear to step out of your comfort zone, the fear of whatever it is that you are afraid of and not actually taking that action. And we say fear will kill more dreams than failure because you would actually have to overcome fear to try before you can fail.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And most people
Exactly.
would actually try and they fail. They tend to, get up and keep going because they've already overcome the hardest part of whatever it is they were worried about. And now they know that they've already overcome so many fears that they can just keep going. So we're just going to talk today about fear, what it is, what it's like for us, and the mental or the mindset that it takes to overcome fear, and just the benefits of really choosing to take on your fears. And the worst thing that can happen if you actually take on your fears, what does it feel like on the other side after you've taken on that fear, right? So we'll roll with PJ, man. Tell us about a fear experience or something that you felt like you were worried, you were scared, and you actually took on it, and how did it turn out?
All right. So the first time I experienced fear would be when I first moved to America because I did not know how to speak English. And I remember one time I didn't know how to speak English, right? And I was scared to speak because, a few times I've tried and people made fun of me. It's second grade, so kids will be kids. Yeah. And I got made fun of because of my accent or grammar or whatever. So I was actually scared to speak up, but I really needed to go to the bathroom. And I didn't say anything because I was scared that I'll get made fun of. So I actually shit my pants that day.
No way.
Yeah. And I was crying and they had to call my mom to come pick me up. But yeah, that's what fear did to me was I literally shit myself because I was too scared to speak up and go to the bathroom. So
dude, that is great. How old were you at this point?
I was like 7 or 8.
Are you serious, dude?
Yeah, I think 7. But yeah, ever since then, that's not the only reason why I stopped being fearful, obviously. But, I think that's a good lesson learned to just speak up.
First experience.
And it was probably the most memorable experience of fear. So, yeah, I think with that lesson being learned early on, I never really feared anything. I just kind of took it head on. And, now I love speaking to people and I know English pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, of course we're speaking English.
Yeah. Now I know how to. I know how to ask how to go to the bathroom. Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
yeah, I guess that was my first experience of fear.
Whew, that's a strong one,
Oh,
man.
dude. I think so. That is a strong one, dude. That is a strong. I mean, and I feel like I kind of I can relate to that because I kind of had like a similar experience, especially when I was much younger. Just being scared to speak up in class or to ask the teacher to leave and go out because, of course, growing up in Africa, a lot of times you get beaten up for unnecessary things. So there was this fear in me all the time, always worried about getting beaten up for stepping out of line or everyone is doing something and you're not doing the same thing. So that's really what was, pushing my fear. But Ogakeni,
Yes,
tell us.
sir. Let's see. There are two early fears that I had as a child, and it had nothing to do with anything about life. It was just so weird. So there are
Right?
actually three. There's this show. Oh, I can't remember the name. It's a classic show. It's on TV all the time, and the rhythm goes dun 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 dun. So it's this show
Oh
about
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
turtles.
yeah.
Like, you
We
remember that
definitely know
show?
that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that
S-
show, bro. We know that show. Wait. Can you hit the soundtrack one more time? It sounds
you
really familiar.
can play with me now. You play with me now. Good one. But someone out
I'm
there
messing
knows
with you,
it.
bro. I don't know the show.
Someone
Hey
out
man,
there
you
knows
went
it.
out there, so I had to take advantage of that one. So
Someone
hey,
out there
carry
knows
on, man.
it. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's basically it's pretty interesting. It teaches kids a lot of life stories, and basically this guy sits under a tree, and a bunch of kids sit around him, and
Right.
then the guy tells stories about maybe animals or just stories about life, but then he explains the reason why, like the life lessons within that story at the end of the story. But it's almost
Right.
like sometimes he has the stories that are like horror movies, and I get so freaked out that I literally have to walk away from watching the show. I'm trying to learn a life lesson by watching the show, but in the process of doing that, you
Yeah.
scared me so much that I can't even finish watching the show. All right, so that's one.
Cool.
The other one was Thriller, Michael Jackson. That sucker freaked me out, man. I could never finish watching Michael Jackson, and that's like my biggest fan, even till today. And I could not finish watching Thriller when he transforms and becomes that wolf.
Right.
And Count on Sesame Street. That guy creased me out with that one. So yeah, I
Really?
used to be scared of counts.
Sesame Street.
So yeah, those were my early fears. I know we're gonna talk about some more business fears and really reality fears, but those are
Yeah.
my
Mhm.
early
Absolutely.
realities of okay, I'm scared of something. Those are the things that
Yep.
freak me out.
Yeah. Oh man, that is really interesting. I would say that I think I share it's sort of a similar fear with both of you. For me, it's scary movies, right? Maybe like the stuff early on, like cartoons and things like that, didn't really scare me. But I probably watched maybe like two scary movies ever in my life, and I just the concept of it, the fear factor and everything, right? All the horrible things that are planning to unfold, my mind just can't take it. So like I've just stayed away from horror movies period forever. Even to this day, like if I have to watch horror movies, like my heart rate starts going. But I think to kind of going back to PJ's story, I think when I was back in Cameroon, right? Um, the I guess they'll call it discipline, right? It's like a nice way of saying we're gonna beat the crap out of you every time you you sneeze the wrong way. But I think for me, I just saw so many people getting beat up all the time, and even when I got beat up, it was never something that I felt like I wanted to happen to me. So especially when I got beaten up a couple times, it was just like, man, this is not a good feeling. I don't want this to happen to me. I don't want to do anything that would make this teacher or my parents or anyone feel like they need to discipline me for something. Which you try your best, but you still end up getting beaten up one way or another. But that I felt like that instilled so much fear in me that was so unnecessary. And I'm lucky that I kind of grew out of it as I kept growing up. But I think that was my first experience with fear and just what it can do to your mind, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
getting, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's jumping in there because I think that kind of correlates to other life situations that you don't even know what
Yeah,
that origin of that fear now comes from.
of course. I would actually agree with you on that because there are times when certain things would happen, and it kind of gives me the memory of those times, and it makes me kind of hold back, right? But I want to fast forward a little bit. When you now cross into adulthood, right? You're out there and you're taking on the world by yourself. You're building interest in certain things, right? And you're making the choices to go after it. There is always going to be that fear of failure. There's going to be that fear of what people think. There's going to be that fear of criticism and much more, right? How have you guys taken on that? Um, and how did you kind of prep your mind to decide that, hey, this is something I want to do. I'm not worried about what other people are going to think. I'm going to take on it. And for better or for worse, we'll see how this goes. PJ, go ahead.
And I think probably like in my adulthood, my biggest fear was probably just being a failure in life because you see all of these, athletes being like 22 or 23 and they have $1 million, crazy amounts of money.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like, damn man, how come I can't be gifted with height or strength or something crazy like that? So I think my biggest fear was just like, dang, what if I tried something and I failed, and then I try something again and I fail? Now it's like 3 years down the road, I'm still at square one. But I think what made
Right.
me overcome that is to just fucking do it. So I joined the
Yeah.
military. I ended up doing the Air Force just because I've had, I have friends who are in the Marines, and they were like, "Oh, don't do it. Join the Air Force instead." So I honestly don't think I would have lasted in the Marines, man. So shout out to those guys, bunch of badasses.
Right.
I'm in the Chair Force, so
Uh,
yeah. I mean,
The smart one
Hey.
that was
so it was right.
yeah. I mean, that was probably my
hey,
biggest fear.
man.
Was like, dang, what if I don't make it through basic training, or like they yell at me too much? And when I get nervous, I kind of forget how to speak English, and like my accent comes out. So um, I went through
Yeah.
it and ended up, graduating BMT or whatever, and went through tech school and did 6.5 years. So yeah, I think after
So
failing, like you're not scared to
at
fail
the
again.
right. So at the beginning, obviously, you're having all of these fears, like pre-joining the military and stuff like that, the Air Force, right? After you took that action, how did it feel for you? Did you feel like the fear carried on with you, or is it just something where you kind of forgot it and this was just your reality now, and you were just reacting to everything that was coming your way?
Yeah, I guess I just accepted it because if you're in, you're in. You can't just quit. And I think that's what I really
Yeah.
enjoyed about the military is you have to face it head on, and you can't just quit.
Right.
I've had different jobs before where if I didn't like it, I just quit and find a new job. But in the military, you're kind of
Right.
forced to face it head on. So yeah, I think that really helped me out a lot.
And I think that is the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can you fast forward us?
Shizo. I'm gonna quickly go back to something that PGZ said earlier, which was it's good
Yeah.
to experience the fear much earlier in life because it builds you much later. Sometimes you don't really connect and overcome that fear until much later in life. I think I just finally got over my fears last year, and just started taking actions on things I want to do. But man, I could talk for hours. I could write a book on this. Um, what people say to you, your environment, the institutions that you grew up in, impacts the kind of fear levels that you have. And PGC just mentioned going to the military. I think that helped him overcome his fear, at least majority of his fear.
Yeah.
And when you go to a boarding school or to a private school away from home from your parents where you're not being guarded, that might help you overcome some fears because man, growing up being told that you're ugly, you're not good looking, um, I was not the smartest in the group because we were quite competitive growing up. That was my twin brother was smarter than me. My twin brother and I fought a lot, and it was always beating me up. So at the early age, I overcame the fear of getting beat up because I got beat up a lot by my twin brother. So I usually just don't fear people that are much stronger than me. I will say shit back to them just because. Because like, you can beat me, but I'm not gonna die.
Yeah.
I'll still come back. I'll still say something really. I'll say something that will make you even much madder. But I've overcome the fear of getting beat up. And then, Shay, you also mentioned something about getting whooped by your parents or somebody because of you didn't know something or you were part of something that people did wrong. I got through a lot of those whoopings when I was a child. So what I realized though was that all those early childhood events have either built me to either fear a lot of things now that I'm older or not fear certain things. So I would say it's good to experience fear early, but learn to overcome them earlier, not much later. Now, I'll say the reason why is this, right? So when I decided, for example, to change majors from pre-med and go into computer science, go against my father's will, I was not scared at that point. I knew my father was going to disown me and get really mad and maybe kick me out of the house. But after so much beat up and whatever people might have said down to, like, okay, what else is going to happen? Someone's going to kill me? What's going to happen? Like, I guess at this point, I got to step up to the plate and do it myself. So I overcame that fear. The next thing you know, people are like super proud of you because now you're doing much better by yourself. You're a computer science student. You're getting all these A's. You're applying. You're very much, you're getting better grades. Then you now become this victorious person because you overcame the initial fear. Another one was maybe saying, you know what, I'm leaving Indiana. I'm moving to DC all by myself, just starting from scratch, quitting my job, which I had 48K salary to go to grad school with no income. But then you realize that once you overcome that initial fear and you take that next step, it's going to be tough for a while, but you'll end up victorious. So step over that fear. I mean, I can talk about a lot of stuff. Quitting my 6-figure job, was it 7-figure job you want to call it? Is it 7 now? I don't know what they call it, between 6 or 7.
I think
so. Quit my job and then go to Nigeria to start an airline from scratch. Huh?
Yeah.
5, 6, 7. Anyway.
It was more than 5 figures.
With a top secret clearance. You know how many people are begging for clearances out there to now go to Africa and say you want to make an impact on the continent? That's some serious fear. But I've realized that over a period of time, I've realized that when you overcome those fears and you just put in yourself and your effort and, the other extra, which is you pray and you believe and you have faith that the effort that you put in will yield some kind of sweat equity or financial equity, that, things will turn out well. So, my model 2020 and my model 2021 is fearless. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Fast forward to now, I've learned to start identifying my fears and knowing that is my fear and just taking action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think when you're always in that action mode, you're not worried so much about, you don't have time to be scared because you're always getting after it. Right.
Yeah.
And there's just two things before. Go ahead.
Yes, but there's the mind that comes before the fear, right? And then like, oh, I gotta swipe this credit card for this bill, man. We were dealing with some business transactions the other day.
That is true fear right there, man. When your card gets declined at the grocery store with people in a line.
Oh yeah, dude. And then you're like, let me call my bank.
Fear,
that happened to
you. Like that you have no money in there, but you're blaming the bank. Oh, I don't know why you're blocking my account. But you have like minus $2.
Luckily, I've not had that happen to me. That almost happened to me.
You have to experience it, bro. You have to experience it. But listen, take a card, okay? Put a low balance on it. Go pick up a bunch of things at the grocery store.
And everyone's staring at you. Oh my God.
Yeah, but everyone's staring at you. And so I think that even if you know that you're intentionally doing this, bro,
luckily
you're gonna sweat by your neck a little bit.
Luckily, I already shit my pants before. So, if that happened to me again, I'll fucking shit my
I
pants
don't.
on the
Yeah, I don't
spot.
think.
No way.
I've already experienced
I was
it, so
gonna
I
say
know
it's
the
not gonna
feeling.
get worse than that, man.
Yeah, I'll shit
Hey,
right now.
man, it's called misdirection. Great distraction right there.
Yeah.
Awesome. But no, carry up, man. Finish your point, bro.
Yeah, so actually, I
I
think you were
just had
going
to
to
say
make a
that.
point before I cut you off. But what I was intending to
Yeah.
tell you though
Oh.
is that the other day when we were about to swipe a card for a business expense, right? Before the old Kenny
Yeah.
would say, "Man, I gotta pay this bill. I gotta pay that bill. If I pay this, if I make this purchase, then I'm gonna have $1,000 left in the account. But then I have this other bill. Maybe I shouldn't buy it yet." Nah, man, it's a business expense. We're trying to create value, something that we're passionate about. I'm sure
Yeah.
God will provide. Swipe, done. That's what I do now. Not the calculated. Okay, then this bill and that bill and that bill and that. No, just go. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I do that with
that's not to
trading
say
too
throw all the
now, or
calculations out the
investing
window,
too
but
now.
you know.
You
Yeah,
were saying?
I think that's not to say like just throw all. I was gonna say that's not to say like to throw all logical calculations out the window, but it's just more so like just be a bit more assertive with your actions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that turns out. Now there is before we wrap things up here and also give some.
We're wrapping up already?
I guess,
Come on, man. It's a lot to talk about.
I know there is a lot to talk about. I mean, we can let the podcast roll a little bit more. I think we can go on forever, man. We can go on forever because there's so much to talk about. But here's the thing. I think there's one thing you said that I think that I would disagree with you on, and that is something that we can have another podcast about it. But it would be about the beatings or discipline, as they want to call it back home. I felt like all the beatings and discipline and stuff like that. I felt like that stifled my growth. To be honest,
It does. I agree with you on that.
Because because I think but I'm not. This is not to blame the elders and things like that. There was no way they could read my mind. But I feel like from a very young age, I kind of had a sense of direction, but I could never go in that direction because I was getting disciplined back into what is the straight path. You know what I mean? And I never felt like there was a need for me to want to have a conversation with someone and them choosing to beat me up because they did not agree with the mindset or what I was saying.
Yeah.
There's a different culture back then.
Believe it or not.
Exactly.
It was a different culture.
It was a thing. So if you've been beat as a child, like this video.
Yes. Like this video and subscribe.
If you got your ass beat.
Now we're about to know
as a child.
We're about to know everyone was abused now. It sounds like, but no, I think for me, I don't think that it was necessary. I think that there's better ways where you can communicate with kids. I mean, if you look at modern times right now, that this aggressive and harsh discipline has been thrown out the window. Not every kid is bad, right? And there are kids who were beaten up to pulp who still turned out not so great. You know what I mean? So
the question I will have for you though
sometimes
is this,
I hear
right?
people say that, yeah.
The question I'll have for you though is that, okay, so they say that the situations that doesn't kill you make you stronger, even though it might have stifled your growth at an older age, at an elder age. Would you think that maybe some of those experiences might have built some grit or some? I know there's a positive and negative to every situation, right? And I'm trying to say it from the positive side that, man, that situation didn't kill me. It might have delayed my growth, but man, now I enter similar situations and I can overcome.
This is what I would say, man. Life in general has enough whoop ass to go around without anyone ever putting your hands on you.
Yeah, you don't need to add anymore.
True.
Exactly. For you to physically choose to whoop someone's ass, then it's like that we're now crossing into trauma territory because that's all I got from that. You know what I mean? People will fail in life. There is so much more. People will say things to you that will require mental toughness to get past it. Right? So there is that. But I think that either way, over time, because I feel like me getting to the point where I was able to overcome my fears and growing to the person that I could be and always wanting to be my best. It more came so from me watching my my mother and the things that she taught us, her values and things like that. Seeing her never giving up, seeing her always pushing was more than enough to teach me to always want to push and overcome my fears without her ever having to put her hand on me. I think
Right.
that would have been more than enough of her life. Is what I'm saying. But that's just me.
Mhm.
So with that being said, I think just also share my story here because everyone shared their story. But I think it's something that I took on, even though I was very scared and just jumped into it and came out on the other side, okay, was starting the gym business, right? That is something that I had been planning for multiple years. Actually, if you go to my Facebook, you see that I put on my Facebook that I was working at Progressive Overload Dallas almost 4 years before that gym actually came to life.
Dang.
And
Wow.
it was mind blowing. Yeah. And so when at the point when I actually got the gym, it was like an opportunity where I had a business plan and everything. I'd been planning these things out, and I was talking with my friend Shelton back at UT Dallas at the time, and I essentially ran into an opportunity where someone was going out of business, and I offered to essentially, engage in a leverage buyout with him. I sat down with this guy and his wife, and I essentially spoke to them and kind of showed them my point that I can take over this business without any money upfront and get it to a point where it's going to be making money in 6 months. I didn't even have the first idea I was going to do that. Right. And we can have another podcast and I'll elaborate on more on how about I went about that. But this person essentially agreed to it. I took over the business with no money. I had no idea how I was going to grow it, but I came up with a plan right then and there. I mean, I guess I had a plan always, you know what I mean? But it was just that situation where an opportunity met preparedness because once that happened,
Mhm.
I was able to get the right things and the right people in place to make it happen, right? But I was at the very first day when he signed the papers and gave it to me and handed over the keys to the gym to me. I was like, dude, I have a freaking gym. I called my mother and I told her, and it felt like I didn't even believe myself. I definitely could tell that she didn't believe it because she was just like, bro, you just called me the other day and you're having a hard time and now you have a gym. What are you talking about, right? But exactly. And it's like, you know, I was scared because I was like, dude, I have this whole business now. And if it fails, it's totally on me.
Yep.
Right. And I just went in. And I think that just taking the first step, I would say, for my tip I would give is that if anyone is afraid of taking on anything, I think you should just throw yourself at it. And what you find is that when you take that first step, there's always going to be people there to help you.
Yep.
And at that point, it pretty much eliminates the fear, and everything else from there is just you doing and not really worrying about being afraid. Right. So, PJ, what would you say?
Yeah, I guess you just got to look at the bright side of things when you fail. So, in my earlier story, I had one less laundry to take care of. I just threw
There
away
you go.
that underwear in the pants. I'm not gonna wash that. There's poop in it.
I like how you keep
Exactly.
it so simple.
I mean, it is simple, man. No more fear.
Yeah, you gotta keep it
You know what I mean?
simple, man.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
Back
would
in,
add I would add by saying if you're fearful, uh try to build your mindset to positivity, and just take that first step. The earlier you fail, the better, and you will realize that it's not that bad. Things are gonna be tough. Shay mentioned earlier, life itself is
yeah,
shitty. So why not just do it? You will thank
exactly.
yourself for taking that step
Well,
and overcoming the fear.
I think you've forever been grateful for it because once you overcome that
Hmm.
fear and you actually make some headway in what you're trying to do, the feeling is unmatched. It's a good feeling,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So do not let fear be your failure. The goal is to educate, motivate, and be one another through shared knowledge and success. Follow us on YouTube. Where else are we?
It's
YouTube,
Instagram.
Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
Twitter.
Facebook. Yes. We cannot
all
wait.
over the place.
And we're also going to be we also have to tell people about when we'll be dropping our first or when we'll be doing our first live stream. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday night, yes.
Saturday night,
probably
yes.
not this
Coming
week,
to you
but-
soon.
Exactly. Yes, because we do have another interview this Saturday, which I'm very excited for. Well, until next time, stay out.
Peter, PJ, PGZ. See you later, alligator.
And Double O in the Heat House. See you later.
Peace.